On this thing live now, boy. Better with that. Hey, what is going on? What is going on? This is Mike Clark, Keys of Knowledge, powered by the War Team, man. You see it, man. You see it. We in EF Studios. You guys already know it. High quality when it comes to that mic and that sound, all that great stuff, man. I appreciate everybody watching. I know I go live and you guys see one or two, three live viewers, but of course it's recorded. Of course it gets sent out, and then you guys can watch it at a later point. So I promise people are watching. So if you're talking mess, just know people are watching. I'm just gonna try to be consistent, man. That's it. Gotta be consistent, move forward. So anyway, we're gonna go right into it because I don't have a lot of time. I have another podcast that I have to do called The Scoop. I help out with that as well. So I'm trying to stay busy, man. Stay busy, stay relevant, all those great things. And then so today, what we're gonna talk about is we're gonna talk about the Mi Casa homebuyer program. I think that's getting a lot of traction. People are understanding, hey, there's an opportunity out there to buy a house. Also, want to talk about, there's a post that we've generated, right? Talking about 50-year mortgages as well, the benefits of it. I mean, I understand people immediately bashed them, but for people like me, investors, for people who are young homeowners who can't get into a home because they're so expensive. I mean, this is an opportunity for everybody to benefit. It's an opportunity for everyone to benefit. I understand it. People's looking like, man, that's a lot of money in interest. But let's just be real. A lot of y'all are not staying in a house for 50 years. A lot of you guys don't stay in a house for 30 years, 15 years. And if you have that much energy for a 50-year mortgage, have that same energy for the 30-year mortgage. Go get a 15. I promise you, my first house, I caught flack from my mortgage officer because they wanted me to do a 30 years so bad. I ended up doing a 15-year, man. I had a client yesterday that I did that I had a consultation with, and the mom said, "Hey, I do nothing but 15 years. So if you truly feel like 50 years is too long, then 30 years is too long. Don't do the 15, man. Don't do the 15." But I do understand it. I get it, man. You are spending a lot, but you gotta understand you're borrowing money, man. Borrowing money. So it's up to you if you want to spend more or less. It's up to you if you want to utilize it as a benefit. You don't have to. Still do the 30-year. But like I said, what it's doing is it's helping you get into a home. That's just the best thing I could say. So once again, it's just a discussion. And nothing's been set in stone about it. But I just find it kind of you know, I would say hilarious. I'm gonna be honest, man. I just find it hilarious. People just they complain, and then when you come up with some sort of solution, they're upset. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, who is generating ideas? Who's getting on here and sending information out and saying, hey, look, I got a plan. I have an idea. I'm gonna run for office. I'm gonna expose that idea. Like, I'm confused, bro. So take time to really digest and understand things. Take time to understand what other countries are doing, other cities are doing, because I promise you, city of El Paso is doing the exact same thing, bro. They're like, we got a problem with the roads. What are the other cities doing? What are other states doing? Let me figure this out. That's one thing I do like about them when it comes to that. But then again, I love original ideas. So we're gonna talk about it later on. So what we're gonna talk about here today, like I said, we're gonna talk about the Mi Casa Home Buyer Program, a grant program, right? We're going to talk about home buying process, start to finish, what that looks like. What separates me as a realtor if you're deciding if you're going to sell your home or you want to buy a home? What's going to separate me from the rest of the realtors? There's over 3,000 realtors in El Paso, and I do want to set myself apart. So I'm going to explain a little more about how I plan on doing that. Right. Next, I'm going to talk about what we just talked about earlier: city tax, proposed tax on these roads, road usage, go a little more detail about it. I hope you go to these city meetings so you can really advocate and put your stance on it or what your position may be when it comes to this agenda item, right? So, and then of course, lastly, I'm going to give you my information. So I would definitely stay to the end. I have some other great stuff I want to do, and then I have a giveaway that I might be doing soon. Well, I'm not that I might. I will be doing it. I just got to find the dates and all that good stuff. But yeah, stay to the end to get that information out, right? So we're gonna go right into the Mi Casa Home Buyer Grant Program. Remember, this is through the El Paso HFC .org, right? Um, El Paso, go back here real quick for you guys so you guys can understand. El Paso HFC.org. All right, so that's the El Paso Housing Finance Corporation. And then just so you guys can see it again, I know some people just like they're visual learners, so let's go ahead and just share the screen. You guys can see it. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. So this is all I got to do is Google here, right? El Paso Housing Finance Corporation. This is set up from the city council. This is something that they have. It's a separate entity that helps when it comes to helping home buyers secure funding if they need it when it comes to closing costs and grants, right? And then they work with nonprofits, federal government, all those great things. And we're going to scroll right down to Mi Casa grant program, right here. Once again, just so you can verify that's a legit website. So you see that .org. I love seeing .orgs, .gov, all those great things, because that way I know it's secure. I don't like seeing .com and all those crazy things. It gives me more information, right? Um, I want to go back into here again and let you guys know sometimes this changes. So of course, give them a call, give them a call, give them a call, give myself a call. I can get you over to a lender as well. We can verify these numbers are real. So there's really three main pillars when it comes to do you qualify for the Mi Casa Homebuyer Grant Program. One pillar is, of course, are you a first-time homebuyer? Are you a first-time homebuyer? Again, are you a first-time homebuyer? There's two ways to be a first-time homebuyer. One, you've never bought a home, of course, you've never bought a home at all. And then two, if you bought a home, you haven't purchased another home within the last 3 years. If you are under either one, boom, good. Check the box, right? Next thing is going to be income. Income. Um, there is a max income you can make on certain household sizes, right? So you got a household size of 1 to 2 people. The max you can do is 118,560. If you have a three or more, I'm assuming these are dependents, right? Kids, well as grandmas, grandpas, all these people, that you're taking care of. They live in that household. You cannot make more than 138 if you have three or more people in your home. Now, when it says targeted area, there are certain areas that are deemed an area that homes are going for sale. These areas that it's just deemed available, right? Deemed available that they want to sell, or they're trying to target a certain area where they want to grow that population or grow that particular area. So, you have those targeted areas. Now, if those targeted areas doesn't fit your criteria, or that's not the side of town you want to live on, or you can't find the house of your dreams in that particular area, of course, you could do a non-targeted area, and that's anywhere within the city of El Paso. It's within the limits, right? Now, the only thing different is if you're making a little bit more, then you may find it difficult. You have to be at 98,800 or less when it comes to a 1 to 2 person household, and if you're three or more, it's 113,620, right? Or less. So you have to be there. And then if you fit that criteria on the income side, boom, you're good to go. Right. And then, yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry. So you have that part, right? I just want to show you some of the homes here as well, right? These are some of the homes that you guys will be able to see. I mean, some of these homes are available, some of them are not, but I mean, these are not uh, rundown properties. These houses, we're talking about 329.99. We're talking about 453, 450,000. These houses are premium houses, expensive properties. They look beautiful, right? So they're not in distressed neighborhoods or anything like that. So if you have that fear, then rest assured you're going to be in a nice, safe location, nice house, all those great things. Of course, you have to qualify for the mortgage as well. So that's another qualification to even fit this program. Like if you can't get qualified, you can't utilize the program. So yeah, that's that when it comes to there, right? And then the last thing, of course, when it comes to this grant program, is your credit score. Your credit score needs to be at a 640 or higher. 640 or higher. Now, if you're at a 630, 620, 600, still call. I would still call. I would still call and at least see if there's some sort of exception that could be made. Maybe they just want to see that, hey, you been paying everything else this entire year, no issues, and then maybe we could still approve you. Maybe you do have to get it all the way up there, and they're really stringent on the 640. Once again, these are thought process of where we just need to pick up the phone and we just need to call. We need to pick up the phone and we need to call. We need to get out of the habit of saying, hey, it says this and it's set in stone. I learned early on. I used to be like that, where man, if something said something in black and white, that's what it was. However, I used to look. I used to do everything. Now that I look back on, I used to do everything. I was a jack of all trades, which is jack of none. At this point, but it's starting to benefit me now at this point. So I used to work at a bank, man. I used to work at a bank. I used to think there's so many different things you couldn't do. There were strict policies that I was told to do by my branch manager, all these different things, and right. And but would justify anything. Even say, for example, it was some fees just to print out documents, print out your statements for the whole year. That was going to be expensive. But what I would get from the members of this particular bank, right? They would say, hey, look, how long have I been a member here? How much money have I brought through here? How much whatever? So it's the same thing with this. So, if this program needs to provide so much money to, El Pasoans, they don't have a lot of people that's even applying for it. They might still look at you. There may be some justification or room to maneuver when it comes to these things. So yeah, just understand that these are the criteria, these are the guidelines, but sometimes there can be an exception to policy. Like I can't make any promises at all, of course, but I always say just pick up the phone and make a phone call. Just find out, right? So that's the Mi Casa Home Buyer Grant Program. Now, right now, the mortgage rates are at 6.2 when it comes to the mortgage rate, and the grants are up to $20,000. I did the math on it, so that's a $500,000 home, full 20,000, and then just understand that this is 4% of the purchase price of a home. So up to 4% of the purchase price of a home is what they're offering when it comes to down payment. Down payment, using FHA. Of course, you're using VA, you don't need down payment. All yours can go to a grant. Go to the closing cost. And same thing, like if you have the down payment money, can help with your closing costs. This can help with closing costs, which is great. So that helps, right? And then you can utilize whatever other money you needed or whatever you're going to save, and you can put that towards moving, furniture, new whatever you're going to do. It helps out. If you have any questions on that, give me a phone call. Give me a phone call. Send me a text message. Find me on social media. I promise you, a lot of realtors are now talking more and more about the Mi Casa Home Buyer Grant Program. I've seen a lot of people speaking about it on the lending side. So there are lenders informed about it. If someone's not informed about it, reach out to me. I would be glad to let them know about it, whether you're working with me or not. I have no problem. Also, like I said, you have the resources here. If you need the resources, I can send you that over as well. So, Mike's not hiding anything through no paywall. I'm just exposing, I'm not even exposing. I'm just letting people know what's out there. I'm exposing you guys to the information because it's out there. It's just all over, it's scattered. And I just want to bring it and consolidate it on one platform. That was ultimately the goal with this. But like I said, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, you want to understand it more, you want to get started with the program, definitely call me. We'll sit down. We'll have a face-to-face conversation about it, a meeting, and then from there, we're going to go through the whole process, and we'll see if you qualify for it. If not, I do have a lender who does have other programs available that you may fit, and then if not, we can find out the options that'll help you fit those criteria, those different guidelines. All right. So I appreciate that. Let me go ahead and close this out. And then now we're going to go right into the home buyer process, home buyer purchasing process. What does it look like start to finish? Say you're brand new, you've never been through the process, and you're like, man, how do I get started? Say you go to an open house. You go to an open house, you're like, man, look, I want to buy this house now. What does it look like? Like I said, all realtors aren't made the same. I'm not here to talk about a realtor. I'm here to talk about myself, what separates me from everybody else. Once again, my knowledge on the market is, I believe, on a different level than most. Also, what's going on throughout the city. Also, just understanding where I believe the market's going. So, I have my own vision. And of course, like I said, it's over 3,000 realtors. You got to understand they have their own perception of how things are play out as well. So, like I said, that's why I always say interview multiple people and see who fits for you. That's it. Just see who fits for you. I'm not everybody's cup of tea, of course, but I promise you I have someone in my brokerage that probably would be. Um, and if not, definitely have those options. Definitely have those options. I think a lot of people, when it comes to purchasing a home, they take it like kind of like buying a car. I used to be like that, but now I'm like, look, I might have a bad person that's trying to sell me a car. I don't like them. I kind of like the car. I'm not trying to get this guy my commission or this lady my commission. Hey, let me get someone else inside. Give me someone else. Give me someone else. If you truly want your commission, you're gonna protect it by all costs. So that's me, man. This is one of the largest purchases you can make within your lifetime. I've been blessed to be at the closing table multiple times myself, but I know most are only going to be at that closing table maybe one time. You know what I'm saying? Maybe twice max. So you want to take time to understand what's. I would say people aren't understand there are HOAs out here in El Paso. That's something new. It's a new concept out here. It's always been HOAs, of course, but it's now becoming more common than usual. So people need to be informed about HOAs. What's a MUD? Municipal Utility District. Am I paying into that? What is that? Am I paying into the what is it? Emergency. There's a one for the emergency. If you're out in Horizon, there's one just for your police and your fire department. Like there's another line item tax rate that you're paying for out there, just for the emergency services, as well as PIDs, public infrastructure districts. You also have those as well. So you have to understand what these are and what you're paying into, and that's overall. You want to know line item by line item what it's going to cost you. What are my services? What am I getting for my dollar? We all got to respect our dollar at this point because we got to stretch our dollar to the last penny, to the last penny. But we need to just understand overall what's going on. So once again, we're gonna go through the process. This is what I do. This is what I do, and I sit down with clients, potential clients, and yeah, that's about it. So first thing, of course, you're gonna meet with the realtor. You're gonna meet with the realtor. You're gonna talk. You're gonna discuss uh, a whole bunch of different options, ideal features, what you're looking for, all those great things, right? I'm gonna let you know about myself, a little bit of background on myself, because I'm interviewing, for this particular job with you. I am doing that, and you have to understand I take it very seriously. I promise you, I do. From there, we're gonna look at getting you pre-approved. Not already pre-approved. We're going to try to look at you getting pre-approved, not just pre-qualified. Now, when it comes to both of those, what's the difference, Mike? Well, the difference is easy. If you're getting pre-qual, that's just saying, hey, look, with the paperwork and the information you sent, all the information you sent to the bank, um, we have not verified this information, nothing like that. But here you go. You are pre-qual based off this information. If it's truly factual, after we do the underwriting, all that great stuff, you're now pre-approved. We're good to go. We already know you're going to get to the closing table because now you're pre-approved, right? As long as nothing changes through this process, I promise you, I got to repeat that for most people because I've heard crazy, crazy stories. People buying houses, trying to not buy houses, buy cars, and getting credit cards in between getting under contract on their first home. Can't do any of that because that will mess up the underwriting process, right? Now, when you're getting pre-approved, what are you going to need? Of course, they're going to ask you for your W-2s, your pay stubs, your bank statements, uh, all those documents. So make sure when you're ready to purchase, you have all those documents. You need to already do that anyway. I'm going to be honest, I've always been bad with it, but my wife, she's been excellent with it. She makes sure we have a filing system. She puts everything where you go. If you're young, you're 18, 19, 20, start getting the habit of keeping your financials, keeping your pay stubs. Just keep that stuff in order anyway, because you want to start verifying it. I promise you, man, I can look back through every job I ever had. I was ignorant when it came to understanding my pay stub. I was ignorant when it came to understanding my W-2. But you want to look at these things. You need to have this information. And you do establish a business as well. Of course, that's a whole nother uh, topic. But also just keep in mind you need to have all those receipts. You need to make sure you have all your stuff in it. And that's for your tax people. But anyway, we're gonna move forward. So once you get pre-approved, now we're ready, right? Now we're searching for homes. When it comes to this, I always had a problem with this when I first started, but now I understand it. I get it now. be as specific as possible what you want. Be as specific as possible what you want. And I promise you, you may think this particular feature might not be available for you at the price point you're at. Say you had a $200,000 price point, but you really want a pool. You don't see any pools at 200,000. It may not be there, but we can still look, still verify. We have access to the MLS, and that gives us an option to look at what's available, right? So I would say just be as specific as possible. I would list it two different ways. I get a piece of paper, me and my significant other, and we would go over what do we really want, what do we need, right? So just in case we can't get those wants, at least we can get those needs. What are those? I have to have it. Have to have it without a doubt. Have to have a 3-bedroom home. Okay. But I need oh, I need a space just for me. I need a loft. Yeah, I need it, but I don't really, I mean I want it, but I don't really need it. So that's what I would say with that. Just understand that, write that down, and be as specific as possible, detailed as possible to help out your realtor. That's going to help you get the options and choices that you want and what's going to be presented to you. That way, now we could just go look at the home, go see the home, we can schedule an appointment, look at it, and now we're good to go, right? And then that just pushes over to an advanced search. Once we get that information, now the realtor can do what they can do. Like I said, this kind of separates most realtors is tools. What's going to help them find these properties? What's going to help them look at what's on the market? And like I said, my brokerage is a little different than everybody else. We have some exceptional tools. So, just make sure you understand that piece when it comes to how are you going to locate these properties? How are we going to verify the property? What do your timeline looks like? All those great things, right? Next, we're going to look at attending the home showing, right? I'll tell my clients, man, of course, in the state of Texas, you have to sign a buyer's agreement. You have to sign a buyer's agreement. Same thing with the sellers. But this buyer's agreement doesn't need to be scary. It doesn't need to be scary because it may feel like a contract, but man, listen, nobody's holding you to the fire, man. If you don't want to buy, you don't want to buy. You don't want to sell, you don't want to sell. If you're at a point where you're like, you're tired of this process, for whatever reason, you could always walk away. Now, once again, I can't say all realtors are the same, but for me, I want you to be comfortable. I want you to be comfortable with me. And if something doesn't work with me, if you don't like the way I work, definitely always move on. You always have different options. And that goes with anybody. Don't ever assume that you're just locked in with somebody. Ask those questions before you sign. If you're that uncomfortable. But I'm being honest with you, saying that, hey, with 10 these showings, I want to make sure that we're assigned, we're locked in together. I'm bound to you, you're bound to me. And then we can interact like that. Give you a great example. We go into a property. Now, before we go into the property, you tell me, hey, Mike, remember, we got pre-approved. I know how much you have. I know how much you got pre-approved for. But if we don't sign this document and say for whatever reason you don't end up working with me and somehow, some way, I don't know. I'm just saying, somehow, some way, I get to talk to the listing agent. You do eventually want this house for whatever reason. I'm not bound to keep things private. I don't have to. There's different obligations that I'm required to do if we're signed. There's this thing called old car, obedience, loyalty, disclosure, full disclosure, confidentiality, accountability, and the last R is last R is I can't remember the last R. Oh, respect. I think it's respect. Respect. I believe that's what it is. Don't quote me on it. I'll look it up. But I owe you all of that, right? But if I don't sign this, of course I got to be caring. Of course I got to be owe you disclosure, but I don't owe you full disclosure on certain things. So it just it's how you look at it. You want to go into a showing without making sure that that agent really works for you. So that's the best thing I can say. You want to make sure that agent is hired and they work for you. He or she works. Now, we go through the showings, we look at the houses. I would say 3 houses or less. I understand people want to see 10, 15, 20 houses, but I promise you it is truly for a reason not to look at that many houses because it's going to look like a blur. And if you're not taking detailed notes, you're going to forget what the first house looked like versus the 15th. You're just going to forget. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to hold you unless you just got photographic memory, bro. Unless you got photographic memory, I don't know how you're gonna do it. So kind of keep, like I said, that's why you need to know your wants and needs. So we you look at what you truly can afford, and we can look at options from a viewpoint where, hey, we're going to look at these three, we're going to rank them, we're going to say, okay, now we're ready to go, right? And for whatever reason these three doesn't work, then we can look at a new set of three. But we're going to at least talk about it, come to the drawing table, and then maybe we got to fix something, correct something, then we can move forward, right? So now we get past the home showing part. Now we're at the part where we're going to make the offer. We're going to make the offer, and that's where I come in, man. We're going to talk. Remember, I'm the subject matter expert. I'm going to give you my opinion, and my opinion may not mean anything to you, but I hope it does because we've already signed and we made that rapport, and you're now trusting me. We're going through the showings, and we're just talking more and more. So you're going to get my professional opinion when I believe something's worth, what I believe something's worth, what I believe you should offer, what I believe we can get from concessions. However, it's totally up to you. Totally up to you. I work for you. However, I would say it needs to be reasonable. I mean, to ask an agent to go look at a home for 200,000, but you want me to put in an offering for 100,000, that's unrealistic. You have to be able to justify those different things, and I have to have those conversations, right? So, um, I'm just going to make sure that, hey, I'm going to do the CMA, and I'm going to make sure that, hey, this is a price point. This is reasonable. Hey, we looked at this property with some damage to it. Maybe we need to get this fixed or this fixed. Hey, you know what? Purchase price is right, but I know we need some money towards our closing costs. Let's see if we can get some sessions, right? So that's the conversation we want to have. Once again, it shouldn't be a back and forth thing out of anger. It should be just on facts. You need to speak facts, facts only. Let's not say, like, say, for example, the roof need to be repaired and we need to ask, why wouldn't they not get the roof repaired? It is what it is. Some people don't get things done, but if we just go off of facts, that'll help us with the negotiation. That's my mindset with it, right? Now, making an offer and negotiating on the contract, those are kind of work hand in hand. And we're also talking about option period. We're also talking about the earnest money, how much money we need to put down for earnest. We're talking about all that good stuff, right? That's where I'll come in and define those definitions for you. I'll sit there and let you know what I'm seeing in the market and what I suggest. But once again, it's your decision. Remember, the way I look at it, at least from a personal side, I look at it like poker, man. I look at it like poker. I look at the property. I look at the distress time. I look at how long the property's been sitting on the market. I look at the condition. Look at how long they've been in the property. There's a lot of things that I look at personally when I come up with my numbers. I promise you, man, I was doing this before I was a realtor, and I had got it down to a T what I was going to do. I go in there understanding that, hey, if they don't accept my offer and it's a no, that's okay. There'll be an opportunity somewhere else. But I promise you, even when I put these offers in, my realtor's like, man, that's just unrealistic. But I knew it wasn't. But I get it. Like I said, on the realtor side, you definitely don't want to present something unreasonable because then it kind of showcases you as a realtor. So I mean, I get it, right? But what I will tell you is when I do get those no's a couple weeks later, because no one else put an offer in, like I said, I looked at how long it's been on the market, right? I looked at, hey, has anybody else gave them an offer? All this stuff plays a part, man. So we're playing poker. We're trying to call each other hand. Like, you can ask for 200,000, but obviously the market's telling you it's not worth 200,000. It's sold. Because if not, I wouldn't be here. You know what I'm saying? So don't be scared of the no's, but be realistic with your offer and have supporting facts when you're ready to put that offer. Right? All right. So now get on that. We're good. Did the earnest money. We do it. Now we're under contract. That's my job. That's when I have the time to shine. Because remember, I'm not just turning no key, man. I promise you. Because I once again, used to think this is what realtors did. But there's things that we have to do within the background. We have to keep you on track. There's things within the contract by law we have to make sure you are following. So you don't lose that earnest money. That earnest money to lock in that good faith where you're letting that seller know, hey, look, I'm willing to buy this and I'm gonna put my money up. I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is. I'm gonna put the 5 grand up, 1,000 grand. I mean, 1,000. I'm gonna put 500. I don't want you losing that money for no reason. But we need to make sure we're following the contract and everything that's involved. that's inside this contract. I want to make sure that you understand. Right? And I'm not a lawyer, but I'm literally going through it. We're gonna talk this and walk this thing. We're gonna go at your pace. I can go as fast as you want to go. I can go as slow as you want to go. So that makes the most sense. I come from a point where I want to educate. I want you to make sure that you're informed when you're buying this and purchasing this. And I don't want you to say, a month later after you purchase the house, a year later, 5 years later, man, that realtor that I have he didn't tell me nothing. He didn't tell me. Promise you, you won't be saying that about Mike. No, you're gonna be like, man, my realtor told me too much, man. I didn't need to know half this stuff. But that's I'm telling you, that's just what separates me, man. I can't turn that off. Can't turn it. As much as people tell me to do it, I just next thing. So now we're under contract. We're under contract. After the contract signed, everything is signed and done, and we're good with that. Boom. Now we're under contract or in escrow. From there, like I said, we're following everything, doing what we need to do, and then now we're going to final details, doing our due diligence on the property. We're ordering the appraisal. We're conducting inspections. I would always suggest an inspection. Sometimes people don't want to do inspections for whatever reason. If it's a new build, they don't want to do an inspection. But I promise you, even on a new build, you need to do the inspection. Understand some of these houses are being built super fast. Some of these houses, like I said, they're just being built in a timely manner, but things happen. So um, trust but verify. That's what I was taught in the military. Trust but verify, and that's what could be done with an inspection. Make sure that stuff's getting done. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I always tell people. Trust but verify, right? And always have eyes on, eyes on. Don't trust what people telling you have eyes on. Even for myself, I would tell people to trust what I'm saying, but verify what I'm saying. Make sure this makes sense. Next thing, you're gonna prepare for closing. That's gonna be the next thing we're gonna do. We're gonna prepare for closing. We're going through all these steps, and now we're here. We're preparing for closing. We're gonna look at that CD. We're gonna look at that closing disclosure. We're gonna find out what everything looks like. Is this right? Is this dress right dress? Is this what it needs to be? And we're gonna end up finding out, hey, is this number right? Is the interest rate right? Is the APR right? Is the closing cost right? Everything in the closing costs, all the line items, do we understand all of this? And once again, I'm going to break it down as much as I can. Not the financial person, but I'll break it down as much as I can. And then whatever we don't understand, we'll get the lender on the phone and we'll make them understand. We'll, explain it to us the right way. And so what I think some realtors will do is say, hey, just call your lender. Your lender will tell you. But you may not know how to ask those questions. You may not know what you're asking, right? And that's why I'm here. So I have no problem doing that. I have no problem reaching out to that lender and saying, hey, this is what they're trying to ask. This is the information we're trying to receive, so they have a better idea. Like I said, I give you a great example. You need to be informed if you have a HOA. You want to make sure you know if that's disclosed or not, which is supposed to be by law, right? You're supposed to have the HOA the handbook or whatever book you're supposed to get from the HOA, the bylaws, all that crazy jazz. You want to make sure if you're in a mud and a pit, how to verify that, where to find that information at. I can help you do that. Not all realtors understand it, so ask them, hey, am I in a mud? Am I in a pit? They say what that is. I didn't say anything, no. I didn't say I didn't say anything, no, right? But you got to understand those things, man, because those are costs that, yeah, it might not be in the mortgage, but it will be in your escrow. It definitely will be in your escrow. So definitely understand what you're paying for. And then last thing we're gonna go to, we work this whole thing together, and this takes anywhere from 30 to 45 days, right? 30 to 45 days. And so we're gonna get real acquainted. We're gonna know each other. We're gonna know our birthdays, your anniversaries. Hopefully we really get to know each other. And that's what I want. I want that rapport, man. So but now we're at the closing table. Understand, we'll get to the closing table. We'll verify everything we've already talked about. We've talked about the E, all those final numbers. We'll get everything notarized. And you can either read everything, you can ask for more questions, whatever you need to know. But this is the time we're going to sign everything, right? Transfer everything, ownership takes place, all this great stuff. However, you will not get the keys until it's funded. So I'll definitely explain that information a little bit more because I know I got excited the first day, like, man, when I'm gonna get my keys, when am I getting my keys? I need my keys now. But you don't get it at the table, man, not immediately. Unless it's like a cash offer, people are paid immediately, you can cool. You'll get your keys, but if not, you will not get your keys until it is funded. So your property is funded The bank has paid, has withdrawn the money, and now they've given it to the sellers. Sellers are paid, then sellers are give over the key. And that's when we'll have a celebration, man. We're popping bottles, we're celebrating, we're happy, and yeah, we're moving forward, man. And once again, my job doesn't end there. It just I continue to follow up with you. I continue to check in with you. I continue to see how I can help you moving forward. And if you know anybody, your friends, family, uh, coworkers, anybody that's looking to buy next, that's where I will go in and say, hey, how can I help the next person? How can I give that same level of expertise to your next level? Because that's what you want. You want that referral business, and you also want to make sure that hey, you have a subject matter expert that if someone comes to you and says, hey, do you know a realtor that's going to really help me, that really cares? I'm glad you said something because I know one that calls me, checks in on me, has told me this thing from start to finish to the point that I believe I could be a realtor now. Mike's got to talk to you. Got to talk to you. I promise you, there's no better referral. There's no better comment. There's no better review. There's nothing in this world that you can give someone better than that. Just telling them how good they are, how much of a subject matter expert they are, how much they really, really poured into you. I promise you that. Um, but that is the home buyer process, right? So we talked about the home buyer process. We talked about El Paso HFC. We talked about the Mi Casa home buyer grant program. We talked about that. And then lastly, like I said, we're going to talk a little bit about the city tax or proposed tax on the roads, road usage. This is, I have to talk about this. I got to get on my soapbox for a little bit. Now, this is just going to the city work session. This is communicating, talking. I don't know if this goes into executive session. I was reading it last night. I don't remember for an executive where it's going to be a private conversation. But I did go because you have to do this too. Some people, I know me. I'm not even going to say some people. I go to the city council website, city website. I pull the agenda, and I did this, and I blanked out when I was at the podium because I did not pull the agenda item, and I did not pull up the packet. So you have the agenda that'll tell you exactly what they're talking about and kind of keep you understand the flow. But then you have the agenda packet. So you have all the agenda items, right? And then that agenda item has a packet of supporting documents that city council members should have read, looked over, reviewed, asked any questions. That's everything, right? So that's for each and every item. And I promise you, you can open up one item and there's like 300 documents. So it's a lot. It's a lot. Like I said, that's why I say you can't really talk too bad on these city council members because if they're truly doing their job, it is a lot of work to understand this stuff. So, they have to understand stuff at a high level. I'm not, what I'm saying? So if they're doing it, great. If they're not doing it, shame on them because I promise you they can take that job serious. But anyway, I pulled up the agenda item and it had prepared questions or questions that we're going to ask. And some of the questions was like on this proposed, like I said, this is a road tax where they're going to charge the citizens in El Paso a monthly, not even yearly, a monthly fee to use the roads we're already being taxed on. Like there is money that's sent to the general fund from our taxes that we pay, goes into the general fund. They break it down to a budget. We have street maintenance. They're supposed to pay for this stuff. But remember, rewind to last year. I told you guys I did what's called a neighborhood leadership academy. And I suggest you all call the city and enroll into the program. It's about 4 or 5 months, man. It is. But it's 1 week. I think it was one Wednesday. It was every Wednesday for like 5 months straight. But I went right. Let me tell you, I'm telling you, they do more with less. I promise you. There's a lot of great people that work for the city. There's a lot of great workers. They love their job. Don't get me wrong. Um, they, boy, they're being worked. They're being worked. They're being worked more with less. Think about your job. If you do have a full like staff, cut them in half. Then cut them in half again, and that is our city department. That's our city departments. Next to nothing, bro. They're working more with less. So you got to understand when you see these weeds, you see streets, potholes, when you see lights out, understand. Even, I'll give you a great example. All of the city signage It's done by 2 or 3 people, I believe. 2 or 3 people. All of our signs. That's crazy. That's crazy. Um, there's some departments, man. It's just insane the amount of they got working, and it makes no sense. Makes no sense. So anyway, we're talking about the proposed tax, just the usage, just to use it. So it's a monthly tax that's being proposed. 3 different tax rates of what they're trying to talk about. Like, I think it's one's 10, one's 20, one's $30 a month, and then how much money that'll mean as a collective. And then I just want to see what'll happen if you refuse to pay it and how that's going to work and what, the fines and, because they got to understand everybody. I mean, not everybody, but they have a good amount of people that are truly low income, like cannot afford an increase at all. And that's what they've been saying when it comes to the water, the gas. Like they actually have citizens that cannot afford a $5 increase, let alone a $20 increase for something they're already being taxed on. So, I really want to hear why they are suggesting this. Like I said, when it comes to uh, these agendas, when it comes to recommendations, mind you, they are looking outside the box in other markets, other city councils, what they're doing for these same issues. Um, I would just say, I really want to see some original thoughts. I really want to see how um, we can just think outside the box when it comes to certain things, man. And I want to see the city generate money. That's the thing too, man. I've said this even up there, even while I was babbling and lost and confused with what I was trying to say. Because I promise you, I've been up there and embarrassed the mess out of myself. I don't care. I'm gonna go up there again. I don't care. So it's not a popularity contest, man. If you're just a citizen that's concerned about what's going on, but you have to go up there and speak your piece. You have to talk for the people who don't want to talk. So if you're an expert, you're college educated, or you're just someone who really understands business at a high level, man, you please go. Please go, man, because everybody doesn't want to advocate for everybody else, but we need some subject matter experts who have different thoughts and process. And I mean, we have so many smart people at UTEP, so many kids up at UTEP that I don't understand why we're not using that as a resource. I know they're studying everything. They're studying different markets. They got a real estate club. They got a whole bunch of different resources that I don't think the city's even tapping into. You know what I'm saying? But our young people have a different way of thinking where we should probably listen to them too on some of these issues. Maybe they could tell us, hey, what other people are doing that we're not even thinking about. So, but yeah, these proposed taxes just to use the roads is going to be monthly. That's insane. That's insane. I can't say nothing else about it, man. It seems lazy to me. It seems like this is. I really want to know who supports it and who doesn't. I really want to understand it, and that's just what it is. But what really irks me, man, because the military used to do the same exact thing. They will do these sensing sessions. If you're in the military, you know what I'm talking about. You be in the unit, everybody disgruntled, people aren't happy, you having issues, you have issue after issue. Lack of morale is down. It's kind of like that in the city. So think about it like that in the city. And we would have these sensing sessions and we would be able to talk freely. So, as a lower enlisted, you can't talk bad about leadership. You can't talk bad about the CEO, blah, blah, blah. But in this environment, you're allowed that. You have like NCOs, some senior leaders, someone, trained to handle it, but they'll do a sensing session. They'll sit there and listen. They'll take notes from every disgruntled person and, kind of like a survey. Boom, take all the information down. Okay, okay. You see the problem. We're going to try to fix this. Okay. And then now they take this to the leadership, and leadership has to get creative on how to be more productive and how to kind of fix some of these issues. Some of these are serious. Some of these have to be investigated, but some things they can kind of figure out. Excuse me. Now, fast forward to what we're talking about with the city, they did what's called the chime survey, kind of like a sensing session. Crazy, right? They did it, and they broke it up to 5 different categories. Okay, boom. They went over. I think the biggest thing was safety, of course, public safety. That's people's biggest things that they had griping complaints about. Next thing was street maintenance. So to justify and say, hey, this is an important issue to all of you guys are all complaining about the roads, the roads, the roads, the roads, the roads. Okay, well, y'all complaining about the roads, then put your money where your mouth is. I promise you that's what it seemed like just came out their mouth. Not we've been paying taxes, not we just passed our budget. We mentioned nothing about this. Not we just did this time thing just to see where everybody's head at and what's more important and how we. That's crazy to me to do a reverse Uno card on us. That's crazy, bro. Um, it is what it is, man. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on, but like I said, if you have an issue, if you don't agree with something, like I said, this is all entertainment purposes. I'm a realtor. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a tax attorney. I'm not none of this, man. And when I go to city council, I represent myself. I don't represent realtor association. I don't represent anybody but myself. As a taxpayer, as somebody, just want to advocate for myself and my family is of course. So that's my biggest thing when I go. So I would definitely want to let people know that. But I think one person they just assume that I like, oh, yeah, I'm a realtor and I'm advocating for the whole city. No, man, I'm just a concerned citizen, and I just want to understand what's going on, and why people are just letting people say what they want to say. Um, like I said, and lastly, like I said, call to action, man. Once again, because I want to end this, best way, the right way, right? But this great conversation. I was able to get a lot out, man. I really appreciate the time that everybody came on, in and out. You have any questions, of course, anytime we do these live sessions, you're allowed to go ahead and just type in your comment. I can see it immediately. I can talk about it. But I enjoy doing this because one, like I said, as a realtor, it helps me. It educates myself. It keeps me sharp. Makes me understand these programs at a better level, and it makes it easier for me to speak about it. So that's why I utilize these platforms, right? I use this. I want to make sure you guys understand it. Hey, Mike knows what he's talking about. I've heard him speak about it. Um, he even recorded it, so we can all see it, right? So it helps. And like I said, it sets me apart because I don't think everybody's comfortable sitting in the camera, or even if you're not comfortable doing the video, you could at least do the audio. But I digress on that. But I just like to let people know, hey man, I'm out here. I'm working, I'm hungry, and I definitely want to represent you, whether you want to sell your home or you want to buy a home, whether you want to be an investor or you just want to know what's going on in the city. I want to be that subject matter expert you can go to. I want to network, network, network. So if you want to network with me, just shoot me a quick DM. Network. Let's talk. Let's set something up. Let's get to know each other. I am looking for a man. I'm looking for a lender. I'm looking for another title person. I got some people I'm already working with, but I'm definitely looking for a few more, man. Like I need to sit down. I need to talk to you. I need to see if you're hungry. I need to see if you're gonna willing to go to open house. Like I need a team of people that's willing to do what I'm doing and sit on camera because I definitely want to interview different people. So if you're not camera shy, definitely let me know. I would love to have you as a guest. DM me if you want to be a guest. That'll be great, 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 great. Like I said as well, if you want to get in contact with me, of course, the quickest way is my phone number, 915-487-6602. I'll take down your information. We'll get to talking, chatting it up. But at some point, we'll have a conversation about setting up an appointment. We can, do that in person at my office. I can go to your house, however you want to set it up. It'll be great. And also just meet at Starbucks, whatever. Just try to make this thing work for you. That way we can make it convenient and we can get straight to work. Now, if you want my social media handles, LinkedIn, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, all those social medias, right? You can go on keysknowledge.com. At the very bottom of the page, you'll see all the different platforms. They're already, LinkedIn. You click on the actual icon, it'll take you straight to the page, right? That's a great resource for you. Also have resources on that page as well. We're gonna have a whole session just on my resources alone. We'll talk through all that stuff as well. And I definitely want to add some more stuff on there as well. So definitely check that out as well when it comes to schools in the area, especially if you're moving in here, you want to know about the school districts. I also have stuff about programs as well that I'm talking about. There's a whole bunch of stuff on there, but we'll have a whole podcast episode on just those resources alone and that website and how powerful it is and how powerful I want to make it moving forward. So, and then also on that website, it gives you an option to schedule an appointment directly with me. You see my calendar. It'll let you do willing to sell. You want to do a seller's consultation? We'll sit down. I'll go through a whole presentation with you, marketing plan, what I want to do. We could do whole thing on your property and get that together for you so I can present it in a manner where you're going to understand, like you digest it, you can see, hey, this is going to work or it's not going to work. Because once again, like I said, I just want to go back to the very, very beginning, what I said, the very, very premise of working with a realtor. You are hiring that person to work for you, right? Remember, they're a subject matter expert, so they're going to, of course, give you their expertise and their value. You can only use that. You can only benefit from it if you use that information. Not is it could hurt you, it could not. It just depends. How much knowledge do you have in addition to what your realtor has? All right. If you have no knowledge, I will lean on them, but also gain some knowledge, gain some information. Make sure that realtor's taking you along the way. All right. Because I will tell you, that's just what you have to definitely want to know what's going on. Like I said, so you want to set up an appointment time with me, of course. Like I said, go on my website, buyer, investor. You want to go to foreclosure auctions. All my information is on there as well. All right. Once again, my number is 915-487-6602. Mike Clark with the War Team. Keys and knowledge, man. Keys, houses, whatever you're trying to do, knowledge. That's it, man. Why we call it keys and knowledge, man. So I appreciate y'all, man. And also, there's a QR code, man. It's a little easier right there. Boom. Find that QR code. It'll take you straight to the website. It'll give you all the information I just told you. All right. But this is Mike Clark. Time to go from you know what it is. EF Studios. Peace.